Great day, students, and in today's science video, we're going to be investigating. Now, you know what investigating is? Investigating means looking a little bit closely at a part of weather. Now, we've already investigated precipitation, temperature, wind, severe storms. What else is there? Well, what about clouds? I think we often overlook clouds, even though they're a part of every different kind of weather system. If we're gonna have a good day, we don't see a lot of the clouds. If we're gonna have a stormy day, we definitely see the clouds. And there are sort of our indicator that we're gonna get a certain type of weather. So in today's science recap video, we're going to investigate what clouds are made of, what kind of clouds there are, because there are many different types of clouds, and the weather that clouds can bring. So ladies and gentlemen, sit back and let's begin to investigate. So to introduce clouds today and get a little background information, we're gonna use Flocabulary today and watch a quick video on clouds.
Have you ever wondered how a cloud is made? Water is the key, it's falling down its range. That from motion lakes it slowly starts to change. It goes into the atmosphere, evaporates. Water transpiration from the plants, trees. Water vapor from the air that we breathe. The sun is beaming hot, the earth will transfer heat into the atmosphere with vapor levitating warm air. Slowly rising, getting cooler as it's climbing higher in the sky. Till it's super cold and super high, the super saturation transfers back to what? Water droplets or the ice crystals. Call it condensation if you like to. The droplets form around some other particles. Dust, smoke, sea salt, all of those. So we call the condensation nuclei. Take the process and repeat it, multiply it. Not for once, twice, like a million times. Then you look and see a cloud up in the sky. Sometimes the tiny droplets bump size, then combine until they're just too heavy for it. Watch it falling back to earth, and then we look outside. Rain, sleet, snow, precipitation, right? Don't just sit in the sky. They impact our weather and climate. Without them, there's no water cycle. Clouds, clouds, clouds. Yeah. Wake up in the morning, looking stormy, see a lot of different shapes and sizes forming. So we put the clouds in different categories. Know the height inside the atmosphere is important. We got high, middle, low, they come in three shapes. Stratus, cumulus, and cirrus are the names. 10 different types of clouds with different traits. One's a nimbus cloud, that cloud precipitates. We know it only grows colder when you rise higher. The highest clouds are made of ice crystals. The lowest ones are made of water droplets. Middle clouds a mixture. All the different clouds are fill the sky today in different sizes, different shades of white and gray. Cirrus clouds are white, nimbus clouds are gray. Cumulus are puffy, stratus clouds are layered. When it comes to weather, clouds help us guess. Will the day be dry? Will the day be wet? Is a storm coming? We predict what's next. The cloud types tell us what we can expect. Don't forget, climate clouds play a role. They keep the Earth's climate cooler overall. The scientists say without the clouds around, climate change would be worse than it is now. Don't just sit in the sky. They impact our weather and climate. Without them, there's no water cycle. Clouds, clouds, clouds. Hey. Oh, oh, oh. Got clouds hanging over me.
I've said it before and I'm going to say it again, ladies and gentlemen. I love Flocabulary. The music, the science, everything about it is incredible. Now, a couple things you may have not noticed in that video are the names of the clouds. But first, before we get to the names, let's talk about just what clouds are. Now, clouds are water droplets and ice crystals that form up in the sky. Now, as we're gonna learn on Wednesday, when we talk about the water cycle, water evaporates. When it heats up, it turns into steam and goes up until it hits a cold surface. Now, I want you to imagine let's see, let's try to compare it to something. I want you to imagine that you're sitting in your backyard with an ice cold drink, maybe iced tea, lemonade. Oh man. And all of a sudden, your glass gets wet. Now, is your glass leaking? No, it's not. Well, what's happening is the vapor and water vapor that's in the air is looking for a cold surface. So what happens is it finds your cup, which is nice and ice cold, and attaches itself to the cup. This is the process called condensation. Go ahead and say it with me. Ready? Condensation. Very good. This is a part of the water cycle that we're going to be learning about on Wednesday. Now, when the water condensates, it forms into water droplets. Well, this is what happens in the sky. When the water vapor finds some cool air, remember there's cool air up there. Remember when we talked about temperature and even precipitation. When that vapor finds that cool air, it attaches it to itself and it starts to form with other water droplets and other vapor. Forming, well, ladies and gentlemen, what's our topic today? Clouds. So if you're ever asked what are clouds made of, well, now you know, ice crystals and water droplets. But one thing we know about air is that it's not consistent temperature, is it? Sometimes cooler air is lower, sometimes cooler air is higher, depending on the strength of the warm air. This also determines where the clouds can be found. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we do have many different types of clouds, and they're all defined by how high they are up in the sky. This is called altitude. The higher the cloud, the better the weather, first of all. We're going to get to that. But it does form different names. So let's take a look and investigate the different names of clouds. So in our investigation, let's start with our first cloud. It's the one that is the highest in the sky, and that's called the cirrus cloud. Go ahead and say cirrus with me. Cirrus. Very good. Now, these are very thin, wispy clouds. They kind of look like a horse's tail way up in the sky. Now, whenever we see these, we know we're going to have incredible weather because those clouds form so high that we know we have a lot of hot air in between. So no matter what, we're going to have a really nice day. So at the very top, we have cirrus. Now, right below it, we have the clouds that we're most familiar with. Now, these are mid-level clouds. These are the clouds that we see and we look up in the sky and they're different shapes. It's like, ooh, that looks like a bunny. Ooh, it looks like a dog. Ooh, it looks like a big marshmallow. These are what we call cumulus clouds. Now, a cumulus cloud's what we're most familiar. If I ever asked you to draw a cloud, you would probably draw a cumulus. Now, these are lower clouds than the cirrus, and oftentimes we're gonna have good weather until all of these cumulus clouds join together because they do bump into each other. And when they bump into each other, ladies and gentlemen, they form bigger and bigger clouds. Now, we're gonna get to what they turn into later, but I want you to remember where we find cumulus. Now, right below cumulus, when the cold air is kind of low, we have what we call stratus. Go ahead and say stratus with me. Stratus. Very good. Now, these look like layers of clouds. Usually when we have a stratus cloud, these are those overcast days where you see different lines of different like grays, whites. And these often bring those overcast or just kind of dreary days that you think it's going to rain, and sometimes it may sprinkle. You may have mist, things like that. Well, these clouds are low. And the reason why we get precipitation with these clouds is because they're so low. Now, the question I have is why don't we get precipitation from the others? Well, they're so high up that by the time the water droplets fall from them, they already turn into vapor once they hit that warm air. But with stratus, they don't have that distance, do they? So a lot of the times when we have those drizzly days that you just want to stay in bed and play video games and watch TV, we can thank stratus clouds for that. Now, the very lowest cloud that we often can pass through is what we call fog. We often see fog first thing in the morning when there's a lot of cool air, or after storms. Now, these lowest clouds, and we can go right through them, all right? A lot of times when you're driving through fog, you have to turn on the headlights. It makes things hard to see, but these are the lowest forms of clouds. Now, you heard me say before that when cumulus clouds join together, they can make bigger clouds. Well, these bigger clouds are called cumulonimbus. Go ahead and say it. Cumulonimbus. Whenever you hear that word nimbus, I want you to think storm. Ooh, that was kind of weird. Cumulonimbus are clouds or cumulus clouds that join together to form bigger clouds. Now, oftentimes these clouds will result in thunderstorms, where we'll have these storm clouds that bring heavy rains, sometimes lightning and thunder. Now, we can thank cumulonimbus for that precipitation and that storm. So let's review. At the very top, we have cirrus. Great weather. Great weather. Next, we have cumulus, which is in the middle. Good weather, light and puffy clouds. Then we have stratus. Those overcast days, you just want to stay in bed. We have fog. Turn on those headlights. And then when the cumulus join together, we have our cumulonimbus storm clouds. Ladies and gentlemen, when we're talking about clouds, they're a great indicator of what weather we're going to have. So, in today's activity, I want you to find a cloud. We're going to go outside and take a look up into the sky. And I want you to find a cloud to see if you can identify it. If you look at the activity behind me, you're going to not just draw the cloud, but you're going to tell me some of its features, like what color is it? Because we know the darker the cloud, the more rain we might get. Is your cloud low, medium, or high? What's the size? What's the shape? Any other characteristics that you can bring from it. Then you can draw it, and then let's find some adjectives that we can use to describe it. Good luck in this activity, ladies and gentlemen. I cannot wait to see the clouds that you find. That's it for today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for investigating clouds with me. I couldn't have done it without each and every one of you. So, go ahead and finish that cloud activity, and don't be afraid to go look up in the sky and identify some clouds. I'll see you all tomorrow.